What happens when a single sentence, spoken by a man with nothing left to lose, collides with fame, royalty, and public suspicion? That is the question at the center of this controversy. From a prison cell, disgraced Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein made a statement that instantly spread across media, social platforms, and gossip circles worldwide. He did not present documents. He did not show videos. Instead, he made a claim, and claims, especially when they involve intelligence agencies, power, and famous figures, have a way of igniting imagination faster than proof ever could. Weinstein said that not everyone connected to him was a victim, and then named Meghan Markle, claiming she benefited from his influence before her royal life. Most explosively, he added that MI6, Britain's foreign intelligence service, allegedly held footage from the Cannes Film Festival years before Meghan met Prince Harry. This transcript does not claim that this footage exists. It does not claim that Weinstein's words are true. Instead, it examines why such a claim matters, why it gained traction so quickly, and how power, perception, and silence interact in the modern media world. Weinstein is a convicted man, widely known for manipulating people, stories, and systems for decades. His history alone demands skepticism. Yet history also shows that controversial claims, even false ones, can reshape reputations simply by being repeated. Cannes, the glamorous film festival on the French Riviera, is not just about movies. It is one of the most important networking centers in the world of entertainment. Deals are discussed in hotel rooms, careers are influenced in private conversations, and access to power is often informal and unseen. Long before Meghan Markle became a duchess, she was an actress navigating this environment like thousands of others, hoping to rise. Weinstein, at that time, was one of Hollywood's most powerful gatekeepers. Being in the same rooms did not make someone guilty of anything, but it did place them inside a system where ambition and power often collided. Intelligence agencies like MI6 do monitor major international events, but usually for diplomatic, financial, or security reasons, not personal scandals. That fact alone raises serious doubts about Weinstein's claim. Intelligence services do not collect evidence for gossip or future embarrassment. Their mission is national security. However, Weinstein's statement exploited public misunderstanding of how intelligence work actually functions. By invoking MI6, he added authority and mystery to his words. This is a known tactic of manipulation. Attach your claim to something powerful and secretive, and people will fill the gaps themselves. Social media thrives on such gaps. Within hours of the quote circulating, headlines became more dramatic, language more accusatory, and nuance began to disappear. The story shifted from Weinstein claims to secret footage exists, even though no evidence was shown. That is how narratives change. Meghan Markle's position makes this even more sensitive. She is not just a celebrity. She is tied to the British royal family, an institution built on image, restraint, and silence. Historically, the royal strategy has been not to respond to rumors unless absolutely necessary. Silence, however, can be read in different ways. Some see it as dignity, others see it as avoidance. Weinstein's statement weaponized that silence, daring denial while offering nothing concrete. It is important to remember that Weinstein benefits from chaos. From prison, he has limited power left. Attention, disruption, and narrative confusion are tools still available to him. By pulling a royal figure into his story, he shifts focus away from his crimes and back onto his relevance. This pattern has been seen before, with disgraced figures attempting to rewrite history. The question is not whether his claim is true, but why it was said, why now, and why people were ready to believe it. The entertainment industry has a long record of protecting powerful men and questioning ambitious women. That context matters. Meghan Markle's ambition, like that of many actors, has often been framed as calculation, rather than effort. Weinstein's claim taps into that stereotype. It suggests not coercion, not victimhood, but mutual benefit. That framing is dangerous because it blurs the reality of power imbalance. Even professional conversations can exist within unequal systems where one side controls access and opportunity. This first part of the story sets the stage. It introduces the claim, the characters, and the environment. It explains why an unverified statement could cause global reaction, and why understanding power, timing, and media psychology is essential before judging anyone involved. To understand why this claim refuses to disappear, we must look more closely at Cannes itself and what it represents. The Cannes Film Festival is often shown as red carpets, flashbulbs, and applause. But behind that image lies an intense business environment. Producers, investors, actors, and agents gather, not just to celebrate films, but to make connections that can change careers. Decisions that affect millions of dollars are sometimes made over quiet conversations rather than formal meetings. Harvey Weinstein thrived in this environment because he understood leverage. He knew which doors mattered and who wanted access to them. At his peak, being seen near him could mean opportunity, and being excluded could mean stagnation. Meghan Markle, before her global fame, was part of this ecosystem. That alone is not suspicious. Thousands of actors attend festivals hoping to be noticed. What makes this story controversial is how Weinstein frames their interaction. He presents himself as a benefactor, not an abuser, suggesting that some people gained from proximity to him. This claim directly challenges the broader narrative of him as a predator. That is why it must be treated carefully. Weinstein has a clear motive to blur lines and create doubt about his victims' stories. By highlighting alleged professional exchanges, he attempts to normalize his behavior. Yet professional environments can still be exploitative, especially when one side controls resources. The mention of alleged MI6 footage is where the story shifts from Hollywood to geopolitics. Intelligence agencies do attend global events, but their focus is typically on terrorism, espionage, or state-level influence. The idea that MI6 would secretly record private industry networking and store it for years without action stretches credibility. However, the public often underestimates how quickly rumor becomes assumed truth. Once people imagine hidden cameras, every interaction becomes suspicious in hindsight. Body language is reinterpreted, smiles become strategy, silence becomes guilt. This is how retrospective judgment works. Weinstein's claim feeds into that process. He does not need to prove anything. He only needs to suggest enough to let imagination do the rest. Meghan Markle's rise adds another layer. She did not simply become successful in Hollywood. She entered the British royal family, an institution associated with tradition and moral authority. That contrast makes her past seem more scrutinizable. People ask whether ambition played a role, whether connections mattered, whether personal choices should be re-examined. These questions are not asked equally of men. That imbalance is important. Weinstein's claim exploits cultural discomfort with ambitious women. At the same time, it would be irresponsible to dismiss all questions simply because they are uncomfortable. That is why balance matters. There is no public evidence that MI6 filmed Meghan Markle for personal reasons. There is no released footage confirming Weinstein's version of events. There is only his word, spoken under conditions where truth and self-interest may not align. Still, the reaction reveals something deeper about how society consumes scandal. Viewers are drawn not to proof, but to implication. Headlines favor certainty even when facts are uncertain. YouTube algorithms reward emotional engagement, not careful language. This environment allows unverified stories to spread faster than corrections ever could. For the royal family, the issue is not whether the claim is true, but whether it damages perception. Silence may protect dignity, but it does not stop speculation. Response, however, risks amplifying the claim. This is the dilemma of modern fame. Weinstein understands this dynamic well. His quote was not random. It was timed, dramatic, and loaded with institutions people fear and respect. Even if completely false, it achieved its goal: attention, disruption, and doubt. The Cannes setting, the intelligence angle, and the royal connection combine into a perfect storm of intrigue. This second part of the transcript shows how systems, not just individuals, allow such claims to grow. It is not a story about secret tapes. It is a story about power, media hunger, and how quickly complexity disappears once suspicion takes hold. As the controversy continues, the most important question remains unanswered: what is actually true? At present, there is no verified evidence supporting Weinstein's claim. No intelligence agency has confirmed the existence of such footage. No credible media outlet has produced proof. And yet, the narrative has already shifted. That alone shows how reputation can be affected without facts. Weinstein, from prison, has little left to gain except relevance. By tying himself to a royal figure, he forces continued discussion of his name. This is a common tactic among disgraced figures who attempt to regain control over how history remembers them. Instead of being seen only as a criminal, he recasts himself as a power broker whose influence extended further than acknowledged. Whether intentional or not, this reframing is harmful because it minimizes the experiences of those who were harmed by him. At the same time, it unfairly places scrutiny on someone else's past without proof. Meghan Markle's silence is interpreted differently depending on the viewer's bias. Supporters see it as restraint and refusal to dignify falsehoods. Critics see it as avoidance. Neither interpretation proves anything. Silence is not evidence. Response is not confession. In the modern media cycle, however, clarity is rare. Once a story enters the public imagination, it becomes resistant to correction. Even if Weinstein later admits he exaggerated or lied, the initial impression would remain. That is the lasting damage of implication. This is why responsible storytelling matters. It is possible to examine claims without endorsing them. It is possible to discuss power without assigning guilt. This transcript aims to do that. The broader lesson here is about how institutions, fame, and rumor intersect. Intelligence agencies are often misunderstood and overestimated in popular culture. Royal families are mythologized. Hollywood is romanticized. When these myths collide, truth becomes difficult to locate. What remains is perception. And perception shapes careers, legacies, and public trust. Weinstein's words will likely continue to be referenced, especially in online spaces that thrive on controversy. But, without evidence, they remain allegations, not facts. For viewers, the responsibility lies in resisting certainty where none exists. Question motives, question timing, question who benefits. Weinstein benefits from attention. Media benefits from clicks. Audiences benefit only if they remain critical. Meghan Markle's story, like many public figures' stories, has been shaped by forces beyond her control. Whether one admires or criticizes her, fairness requires evidence before judgment. The real issue exposed here is not secret footage, but how easily power can manipulate narrative, even from behind bars. In the end, this controversy may fade, replaced by the next dramatic claim. But the pattern will repeat unless viewers learn to slow down and separate suggestion from proof. The price of fame in the digital age is permanent scrutiny. The price of scandal is often paid regardless of truth. And once shadows are suggested, they are difficult to erase. This story, therefore, is less about what happened at Cannes, and more about how stories are constructed, consumed, and weaponized. It reminds us that not every dramatic claim deserves belief, but every claim deserves careful examination. That is where responsibility begins, and where this transcript ends. As the discussion moves deeper, it becomes important to step back and look at how stories like this grow far beyond their original claim. Once a dramatic allegation enters public space, especially one involving intelligence agencies, royalty, and a disgraced figure like Harvey Weinstein, it stops belonging to facts and starts living inside interpretation. This is where public opinion, online platforms, and emotional reactions take control. Many people do not wait for confirmation. They react to how a story feels rather than what it proves. In this case, the idea of hidden footage, secret surveillance, and a powerful woman's past being exposed fits neatly into long-standing cultural fears about elites and secrets. That does not make it true, but it does make it powerful. Social media accelerates this process. Short clips, headlines, and edited quotes remove context and replace it with certainty. Weinstein claims quickly becomes Weinstein reveals. Alleged footage becomes leaked video. Each step strips away caution. Algorithms reward engagement, not accuracy. Anger, shock, and suspicion travel faster than careful analysis. As a result, even responsible viewers may absorb distorted versions of the story without realizing it. Another factor is confirmation bias. People who already dislike Meghan Markle are more likely to accept Weinstein's claim without proof. Those who support her may dismiss the story entirely